Hey everyone, Ryan Mentz here, and in this video I have 10 more changes for the Sony full-frame A7, A9 series cameras. In my last video I had 21 changes, so we're getting up to 31 changes. I think we have plenty to give Sony to think about and to work on with their cameras. So without further ado and making this another 30-minute video, let's get started. So these first two come from the comments of that first video, and I 100% agree with these, so I'm adding them in here. The first one's going to be that the error messages shouldn't be full screen, and that's courtesy of Sylvan Kybers. Hopefully I say that right, but 100% I agree on this. So to preface, I should say I don't know what the better solution is, but I'm not a genius that works at Sony. So the problem is, so in that last video, for example, I was talking about the crop mode and how I can't change in and out of it. Lost a light. How I can't change in and out of it while the camera is buffering the photos I just took. And what happens if I try to do that is I'll get this huge full screen error message that covers up what I'm trying to shoot. I don't know the solution. Maybe like having an indicator in the corner that there's a warning and you would have to press a button to read the message. Something like that. I don't know. But obviously you need to have those messages in there to tell the user what's going on with their camera and why isn't this button working. So I understand why you need the error message. It just needs to be implemented better, I think. Get that light working again. Hey, if anyone wants to fund lights for me that cost more than like $50 off Amazon, feel free, hit me up. Number 2 is going to be from Simon Pierce in the comments of the last video, and he wants a crop mode indicator, and I want a crop mode indicator too, because to corroborate your your desire for this, I went back and took a screenshot of a message I sent last October explaining that I want the same exact thing. So we're on the same page here. This is something that people want, and you do have it when you're using the all display mode. So you know how you have like a leveling and a histogram mode for the display in the camera. Well, if you do all display, you get the little icon for crop mode, but it's gone from everywhere else. And if you do shoot RAW plus JPEG, you can see your JPEG resolution on the top bar through the viewfinder, and that will change depending on if you're in crop mode or not. So that's kind of an indicator in a way. But yeah, it would be great to have. They already have that icon made up. It would be nice if they kind of brought that around to all the display settings. 100%. Crop mode indicator. Good job. So number 3, this one kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the last video with the recall custom hold and being able to disable stabilization. Well, this is kind of a precursor to that because you kind of need this first before they can add it into recall custom hold. And that's going to be being able to toggle the stabilization at all on the camera end. So right now, if you have a optical steady shot switch on your lens and you try to disable it in the camera, it will tell you that you can't and you have to use the lens in order to do that. But that's dumb because if you have the autofocus manual focus switch in your lens, you can still change the manual focus on the camera end. So it should be the same thing for the steady shot, just bringing it all to the camera side so you don't have to mess with the switches and stuff on the lens, which takes your eye off the camera, takes your eye out of the viewfinder, you start missing shots. And as we have established, I don't like missing shots. So what I'm asking for here is being able to disable the stabilization from the camera without having to deal with the switch on the lens. Pretty easy. Number 4 is going to be a compromise, I guess. So in the last video, I ended it by saying never ever put in a swivel flip out screen on these Sony cameras, and I 100% am standing behind that because they suck and they still suck today. But I want to compromise, and I'll say if they do it something like the A99 Mark II, where it can flip up and it's an articulating screen, but it doesn't require that stupid swivel. And when you just want to like flip up a screen, it doesn't require your screen to be on the side of the camera. So right now the order of the focus areas as you're flipping through them are all set and you can't change them. So it goes from wide to zone to center point to single point flexible to flexible expand spot, and then to like the tracking modes, which are all of the above, but you have to go sideways on it. For me, they don't really make sense. I feel like it should go more in order of like the widest to the most narrow, with tracking probably being put at the top, not the very bottom. Right now, with the new cameras and with the firmware update of the A9, you can disable some of them so they're not in the way and you have only the modes you'll actually use. But I still want a way to like reorder them so they make sense to me and not the engineers in Japan. Hopefully this next one isn't too much of a cop-out because I'm talking about a delay again, and I talked about delays a lot in the first video, but this is a different delay and maybe they're not aware of it. Hopefully they are. They've been making these cameras for a long time with a lot of people testing them. Just fix the delays. And here's one more. When you're bringing the camera up to your eye, looking through the viewfinder, the screen itself is quick to turn on. That's great. But the problem is the information that you actually need to start taking photos is not there yet. That takes a while to load up, and it feels like an eternity because when you're bringing your camera to your eye, that means you're probably ready to shoot, but you have to wait for that delay. It shouldn't take so long for the focus point to show up. It shouldn't take so long for the leveling or the histogram or any of that other information that you need to start taking photos. That should be right there being lit up right as the screen lights up too. Next up, we got number 7, and this one's going to steal it from the A9 II, which added it in a firmware release after the original A9 II started shipping, and that's going to be the sensor protection. So the shutter will close once you have the camera off, and that protects the sensor from getting dust and debris on it. And I know a lot of people that own more than one lens care about that. I'm never switching lenses off this thing, so I don't really have a problem with dust on my Sony cameras, but many, pretty much everyone else does. So yeah, adding that a feature that the A9 II got in a firmware update, just firmware update that for the whole bunch. Give us that sensor protection. Last week I posted a long-term review of the Sony 200-600 lens, and I posted that to fstoppers.com. And in the comments of that, someone was trying to be helpful, and they were talking about direct digital manual focus. I don't know what the D stands for. DMF mode on the camera, and they wanted to help me because I said the problem with this lens is that it doesn't have a full-time manual focus override. And so with that, he suggested DMF, which is a good thought, but the problem with DMF is that it's AFS. And so once your focus is acquired, it wants you to start manual focusing then. And so it's not really helpful for bird photography. AFC with the DMF would be super awesome if they could figure out how to do that. So in a roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is add full-time manual focus override on the camera end, because these are focus by wire lenses anyways. It's listening to the camera all the time. Might as well just be able to do it that way. I don't know why the lens needs to be, I mean, this is probably like the fault of myself. I don't understand how this works, but it's kind of weird that it's up to the lens to be a full-time manual focus override lens, kind of like their 400 and 600 millimeter G Master lenses. Those are full-time manual focus override, but I don't understand why like those have it, but this lens can't, and like any other lenses that are focused by wire. I don't know what the difference is, if there's some kind of mechanical reason. So if they could figure out a way to do that, I would be super happy. I know a lot of people would be happy about that as well. Even if they're not using this lens, they're using any other focus by wire lens. To me, it's an awesome idea. Full-time manual focus override with any lens via the camera. This one's going to be the weird way you have the memory card formatted. When you throw those on the computer, the way the directories are ordered and like named, and it's so weird. So the video files are in this like really backroom directory. And the photo files they make sense where they are for the most part. They're like named like IMG or something. I don't remember, but the video directory, it's like this, so like you have to go down like deep dive in like 5 directories in order to find your video files, and the directory naming doesn't make any sense to where they would be. So dumb. So fix your like formatting of these memory cards, because the directories are stupid. Just put everything in one folder and be done with it. Number 10, I saved the most ambitious for last, so this is not going to be like an easy fix or like a week-long project for a small team at Sony. This one, hopefully they've been working on this. I would imagine they have, but I want it soon, because it's an answer to what Canon's already announced with the R5. The bird eye autofocus, if it's just 1% of what human eye autofocus is. So revolutionary what eye autofocus for humans did in the Sony cameras. Just so freeing of, you know, having to think about your focus at all. It's insane, and it works so well. So bird eye autofocus, oh my gosh, just being able to move your focus point without like physically have to doing anything, because it's just in the screen, it's just tracking it, it's just there, it's just ready to go. Bird eye autofocus would just change the game, and if you can make it work well, I don't know how well Canon's is gonna work. No one does at this point. I would assume that they since they announced it so early and they're being ambitious about it, it's probably going to work semi-well to really well. That's just my hope, and I hope Sony has an answer for it coming up, because bird eye autofocus, the minute that animal eye autofocus was announced, that's where my head went, and I was a little bit disappointed that it doesn't work really at all. Hoping it comes up pretty soon. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and I will see you next time.